I don't know what your opinion is of Andrew Tate. I actually didn't have much of an opinion on him until maybe the past like 2 weeks, and I've started to do some looking just because out of curiosity. Because I actually, let's say about 4 weeks ago, I posted an episode that said why you should listen to Jordan Peterson, and wow, that was like the most hate I ever got by far in regards to episodes I'd ever posted. Like, whew, Facebook comments going crazy. I throw it on this university Snapchat little story thing, and holy cow, now I'm known as like a horrible racist, whatever. But either way,
all the
like
ists.
people started comparing me to like Andrew Tate, and I was like, and I just had heard the name, and I was like, Andrew Tate, let's take a look. And I actually I started to see what he had to say, and I was like, okay, what's this guy saying that's so controversial? And I tried to dig, and I was like, okay, what's the horrible thing that he's been saying? And like he's it seems like he's telling men to like kind of be hard, you know, hit the gym hard, you know, conquer your depression by, you know, going the opposite direction, or I don't know. It's like be protective towards women, be a source of stability, all these different things. And I was just kind of like, he actually doesn't seem that controversial to me. I wonder why they're trying to censor him. And I'm just going to keep telling the story a little more because there's some context of, I have this account that I don't really tell that many people about, so I guess I'm saying it now. It's called Life Changing Clips. Mm-hmm. It's on you know, YouTube, Instagram, whatever, and it has way more followers than my page. But I just post clips of Peterson, of Goggins, of whatever, and I just it's kind of automated, and it's on the side, and you know, I have ideas for it and whatnot. But either way, I told my editor guy, like, yo, get a few Andrew Tate clips up in here. I want to see what's going on. And so then I posted one, and it was so interesting because all of the platforms allowed it except TikTok. TikTok said, this post has been taken down due to community guidelines. And I was like, how interesting. Now, Facebook, you know, Instagram, YouTube, those three are allowing it, but TikTok's not. And I was just kind of like, interesting. But the community guidelines strike was so vague, and I was like, man, this is so frustrating because all he's saying is, I don't think men should prioritize happiness. I think they should wake up, whether they're happy or sad, and still do the same things, which are go to work and perform well at work, go to the gym and perform well at the gym, take care of their woman, whether they're happy or not. And I was just kind of like, boom, you know, how controversial. But I just find it kind of unfortunate that we live in a culture now where if a person doesn't sell his soul to the mainstream media or bow down and say, yes, I agree with you, big government, or says things that gets him in trouble, but then stands his ground. It's like, I find it unfortunate that we still live in a culture where people are trying to cancel people. And I'm like, I'm curious what your thoughts on Tate or any of that, or if you've looked into it much at all, or just curious.
Oh yeah. I mean, it's a big topic, honestly, because you know, we discussed on my podcast toxic masculinity, and that's obviously what they're trying to frame it as, is that this is all toxic masculinity, caring about yourself and making sure you're the best version of yourself is toxic masculinity. And then you say, well, what about a woman who wants to be the best version of herself? And then they say, oh, no, that's the right thing. And then you say, okay, good. All right. At least we don't have to fight for them yet, right? The war's going to come for them soon.
Probably.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. It's going to happen. It's going to happen. Everything is going to come to erode what it means to be an individual, because at the end of the day, they just want you to be a subject, just another person, or not a person, just a subject. But so it's, taking care of a woman and protecting her, toxic masculinity, right? That's what they want to do. So Andrew Tate is somebody that I remain objective on, because it's not a person I really want to cover, because I always find myself not knowing too much about the situation. Because here's what I'm going to first say, is that there's nothing wrong with 99.9% of the things that he said. There's maybe literally 0.1% of things that you can find out there that he may have phrased it in a certain way that may not really align with, I'll straight up say Judeo-Christian values. he does believe in Islam. So some of the things that come down to women being as property, it's not something that I would agree with in terms of my faith and how I would see a woman. However, I understand what he's trying to say, that woman, you know, if you're in a marriage, and that is she is somebody that you have to take care of. You have to provide for her, right? And these things they're trying to say that are terrible because, you know, essentially they do want women to go out there and be in the workforce because that ends up leaving the kid behind. So the mom isn't teaching the kid, the dad isn't teaching the kid anymore. It's now the government teaching the kid. So I don't, you know, there's nothing wrong with telling guys to be more masculine or to be more manly or to be more responsible or any of this stuff. We're actually living in a time where all these guys are not being held accountable to their things. I mean, you know, a lot of single parent households are outcomes of just men not being accountable anymore or not really having a sense of responsibility. So there's nothing wrong with that. I saw a campaign launched against him. I saw that from the beginning. Then you saw him end up in jail in Romania. He was, a lot of people don't realize this, but because he's an American citizen and he was held in a foreign jail without having any charges brought up against him is actually a violation of international law. You know, all these people always constantly want to talk about protecting your human rights. Just a quick little sorry for most people. Healthcare is not a human right, like how they want to scream. But you sitting in a cell and rotting with no charges being presented to you, with no free trial or anything like that, is a violation of your human rights, your pursuit to happiness. So just, you know, always people like to say, oh, healthcare is a human right. It's not. The pursuit of happiness is your human right. Not being a slave is your human right, right? So and all of these things are not right, and you can obviously say he became a big victim of this huge cancel culture, right? I mean, when I look at cancel culture and I look victims of it, Andrew Tate is at the top of it. And that brings me to TikTok, because I also posted something about Andrew Tate when he did the BBC interview. It's fine on it was fine on Instagram. It was not allowed for monetization on YouTube. You know, it says that ads don't really want to monetize this, okay? And then TikTok, at least it's allowed out there, though. And TikTok outright bans it. And like you said, it breaks community guidelines. And I actually looked deeper into them, and it said hateful ideology. So now we go back to what we were just talking about, that they want to pass so many different hate speech laws just to rule everything that they disagree with under hate speech laws. And that's a very, very dangerous precedent that they're setting. Because, again, they like doing it to you, but they hate when you do it back to them. And I've watched this happen for 2-3 years now, where Democrats, and I'll go ahead and group them into this, where Democrats will do something very unprecedented, which will make them set a precedent. And I always refer to them opening up a Pandora box like that. And then they hate it when that comes back and bites them in the butt or shoots them in the foot or something like that. They cheered on when the Supreme Court passed the right that the federal government is allowed to, you know, tell agencies to say, hey, you have to take the vaccine. But they didn't realize that 6 months later that set up the precedent for Roe v. Wade being overturned, because now you're saying that the federal government is allowed, you know, to have a, you know, say over your body and whatnot. So it happens all the time. They launch an attack on Trump, and now, you know, they're realizing that Biden, because he's very, very criminally involved in a bunch of things, that they're going to use the same precedent that they used against Trump against Biden. So it's crazy. And yeah, I know that took us a little off hate speech, but they don't want to do this because they know eventually this is going to happen to them, yet they're doing it.
Yeah, it's interesting. Like, I actually, just today, I don't know if you've heard of Patrick Bet David.
Oh, yeah.
He actually just released a 5-hour episode with Tate. I don't know if you saw that.
I started to see a little bit of it because, like you said, it's 5 hours. I think I'm like at the 30-minute mark of it.
Yeah,
I'm like, I've been waiting for this interview.
Yeah,
Patrick Bet David's like up and coming podcaster for me. He's not an up and coming podcaster, but for me, I'm like, wow, this guy. I really enjoy listening to him all of a sudden, and I get to see him go and do this interview now. It's like, wow, I'm so excited to check it out.
Now that I think about it, you were the guy who was like, I'm going to start doing more looking into Patrick Bet-David, and I followed him, and then I saw that he did it with Tate, and so it was like this beautiful like butterfly effect thanks to you. But either way,
how that works.
Yeah, man. Like, I guess real quick, maybe to poke a hole in what you're saying, on this 5-hour ep, Tate was talking about how he's converted to a Christian, and which was kind of an interesting little part of that episode. And yeah, it was.
Oh, nice. Okay, well, I'm excited
kind of
to
interesting.
see that. Yeah. Oh,
but
yeah.
Either way, I just thought I'd say that just because.
Yeah, because I mean, see, majority of the time that people will make the comments that Andrew Tate will make is because they're referring to their religion. And again, I have no problem with you believing in that. You know, even though I have my problems with that religion, it's your right to believe in that. But these are going to be the symptoms of that religion. So. You know, it just, you know, when I heard Andrew Tate say that, I wasn't surprised. You know, I knew that he was already, I guess he converted now, but before he converted, that's what he kind of like, it just made sense essentially. So
yeah, exactly.
That's good to know. Excited to see if that has any influence on anything. Then if it doesn't have influence on anything, then I'm completely wrong, and then it has to do with something else. But yeah, it's we shouldn't judge people because of one thing that they said or two things that they said, and who knows if they actually meant to say it exactly like that or phrase it up like that when they're on a podcast. You know, it's totally live. It's who knows, right? So
exactly.
Yeah, shouldn't judge them just on that. You know.
Yeah, a lesson that I kind of got from watching. I've only maybe an hour in that episode, but a lesson that I kind of am getting from this whole thing is like. Like for maybe us both, anyone who's kind of promoting content or talking on a mic and putting it out on the internet, it's like, there might be a time in which you say something and you get flack for it. And it's like, okay, I'm going to look back. I'm putting myself in the shoes, and it's like, okay, I said something and I really got to be honest with myself. Like, okay, is what I'm saying a bad thing, or is that something that aligns with me? And if it does and people are still mad, I can't bend. Like I'm signing a deal with myself. Like no matter how much hate or how many people hate you or think you're horrible, stand with your conscience. Like don't bend over and say, you're right, I'm sorry. Like that's like a deal I've signed with myself. I knew that starting a pod might have those consequences later, but it's like, no matter how many people, quote unquote, hate what I said, I'm going to stand with what my gut and heart and soul are saying. And I'm not going to allow the mob to bend me over. But that's just kind of a little lesson that I've been thinking about today. And maybe you might have a similar thing later in life where, oh, David said this, blah, blah, blah. But whatever.
Oh, yeah. I think about it all the time. You know, now that it might, you know, all these clips are out of me and everything like that. It's like I'm always like wondering if like what I'm gonna say, will it be taken out of context? Is it ever gonna be used against me? But then I just, like you just said, I go back to just making sure that what I said lines up with my values. And if I phrased it in a way that I shouldn't have, or I just didn't come out the right way because it's live on a podcast, then I'm able to. You know, a lot of people will say, you know, it erodes you as a man, but owning up to your mistake, I think, is the most, not the most, but it is a masculine trait. Being able to say, look, I didn't mean to phrase it like that. This is what I meant. I'm still, you know, standing strong by my values and what I said, even if you still think it's, you know, crazy misogynist, whatever it is, I don't care. This is what I believe in, and these are my values. I'm open to different types of things for you to tell me why it's different and whatnot, but unless you change my mind, I'm not going to back down from this.
That's great.
Don't bow down to the cancel culture or the mob.
No. Yeah, like it kind of reminds me of a Christian phrase of like, there's a reason that it's called the narrow path, or like sometimes it takes courage and balls and like it takes character to kind of walk down the narrow path that's hard, that you're going to be critiqued for, the path that other people are going to hate you for. It's like This is the path that Jesus walked. This is the path that Socrates walked. I'm not trying to compare myself, but I'm just trying to put myself in the shoes and be like, walk the path that's narrow. No matter how much flack you get for it, try your best to be the best version of yourselves and saying what's true, saying what your conscience is telling you to say. And that's kind of just, that's something that like I said, I've signed a deal with myself to do. And it may be narrow, but it leads to a greater place than where this wide path that most people go down is leading towards.
Yeah. Oh yeah. I love that. I'm actually steal that from you. So I hope you don't mind I borrow that from you from now on.
I stole it from someone else. It's just part of human life.
I like that. No, that's fantastic. I think you nailed it with that. That's yeah. I'm kind of speechless with that.
Good.